All right, sounds good. Well, welcome back to another episode of Bennett Breakdown. I hope all of you are well. May the Lord bless you, keep you. May his face shine upon you, be gracious to you, give you peace. I have a good buddy here on with me today. He called me, 2 weeks ago? I was shooting some horses in Hereford, and he hollered at me. And I said, you know what? We ought to sit down in the booth and do a podcast together and get this out there. So that's what we're doing today. Me and Ty Crutchfield. Ty, you have quite the story of all kinds of things that you.
Oh, good Lord! Which one are you to start at?
Did you grow up in Dalhart?
I grew up in Dalhart, a little town just north of Amarillo. Most people know where Dalhart, Texas is at.
I know where it's at. It's the coldest place in the universe.
People think Colorado's cold, and I was always telling them, you go to Dalhart, Texas, or
the coldest I've ever been is in Dalhart, Texas. Well, or north of there, Texline, Clayton. It's
Guyman. Guyman's brutal too.
That's kind of a hole there where it's just super, super cold. But me and Ty go back. In fact, this morning I sent you that Icky Thump song. I remember you processing cattle at Besner Feed Yard.
Back in the 70s.
Yeah. After Nom.
After Nom.
After Nom.
Man, that was way back in the day. Like, you come and shod my horses at that feed yard up there. And
yeah, at Besner's.
Yep.
That was out in the middle of nowhere. What's that little town where the Mennonite community?
Sedan, New Mexico.
Sedan, New Mexico.
Had that little cafe there that was jam up.
We go in there with Ty Ellis.
Yep.
You just start laughing.
Oh, golly. I haven't heard that name in a day or two.
I saw him at a wedding, this summer. His sister got married, and I was at it. I said, man, I hadn't seen you in a long time. And I won't bring up the story, but I remember sitting at that table, and little Mennonite boy, and he said something. I'm telling you, me and you turned bright red. Tex Wing, he was kind of part of that crew as well, but I'd go up there and shoe and listen to Icky Thump. But, man, that's way back in the day. That's when you were still doing a little team roping, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Had you rode bulls at that time?
Yep, I was riding bulls at that time. I hadn't really swung a rope hardly at all except for on a wheat pasture at that time.
Yeah.
A little bit here and there roping-wise, but...
But you roped really good. You won a bunch roping, hadn't you?
Yeah, I was good. I guess so to say without being...
When was the last time you roped?
Arrogant. Golly. It's been a couple of years.
Has it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Well, when you're doing some stuff over here at Range Riders, you're doing a little bit of roping. But
yep. Buddy of mine, we was at that roping here at the Range Riders, and a buddy of mine was there. He's like, hey, you want to spin one for me? I was like, dude, I ain't been on a horse in like 2 or 3 years. Are you kidding me? I don't even got to... I'll figure it out. So Bill Hodnett had a gray horse. Awesome horse, which I love Bill dearly, but I was like, hey, Bill, can I borrow your horse? I was in New Balances, which I normally wear, and jump on this gray horse. I was like, can I borrow a rope and a glove? Because I'm a sissy. I got to have a glove.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, here you go, man. Surprisingly enough, I spun the steer and didn't fall off. So
I don't doubt it.
It was a success.
You healed a bunch, but I remember. In fact,
I was a terrible healer. Heading-wise, I was all right.
You had that blue...
Yep.
That blue horse.
Yep.
That's a pretty good horse, wasn't it?
That was probably one of the best horses I've ever had.
Yep.
Like, he was
I remember
he actually come from Buddy Schnaufer. I don't know if you remember him or not from back in the day, but Buddy and I rode, I don't know, he had a handful of 2-year-olds. We were starting at a feed yard in that blue horse. It's a funny story. I got to jump in this one real quick. So he's riding this little blue horse, which Buddy probably outweighed him at the time. Buddy's a big boy, and Blue probably weighed, I don't know, 700, 800 pounds. Bud was big. Not that big, but and he, I don't know, put a handful of rides on him or something. This little horse would rear up, lay down, buck, bite, you name it. This is what he did.
Outlaw.
And I had a little bit of cash in my pocket, and I said, hey, how much you want for that blue horse? He said, $4,500. I said, you're out of your mind. I ain't paying that for him.
Well, you would today.
Yeah, I'd hand it over real quick like today. And anyways, we got through the day there, and him and his wife, I guess, had gotten a little bit of a prayer meeting that night, and come to work the next morning, and he said, hey, you still want that blue horse? I said, yeah, but I ain't paying $4,500 for him. He's like, how much you got? I got $1,500 in my pocket right now. He goes, I'll take it. I said, you're kidding me. You dropped $3,000 overnight. What happened?
The
Well,
Lord spoke.
Yep, the Lord answered their prayer meeting. so I got Blue for $1,500, and that was literally probably the best horse I've ever had. I rode a paint horse of my stepdad and grandpa's that was phenomenal. He wasn't flashy by any means, speed wise, but he could.
Dang sure do it.
I won more money on that horse than
Awesome.
shake a stick at.
So what years was that? Was that 07, 08, 09?
No, that was way back in when I got Blue.
No, I'm talking about like when I was coming up there to Besner's. You had the blue horse for sure.
Yep. I was trying to think. It was probably, 06, 05-ish, starting off maybe right in there. Because that's when I had my head injury was in 06, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was right in that time frame.
That's quite the scar, too.
Oh, man. It's interesting.
That was from riding bulls. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get into that here in just a moment. But I was thinking back during that time. Even in that time, weren't you playing bass at a church?
Yep. I played bass at a church there at Dalhart. And I can't even think of the name of it. It's terrible now.
Was like New Life or something like that?
Something like that. New Life.
New Life.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I remember you were asking, I played a few instruments.
Actually, I started off in that band playing the guitar.
Oh, you did?
And then our bass player, if I can remember right, now don't quote me on all this, but if I remember right, our bass player had quit. And I was like, hey, I'll try that bass out a little bit. I never picked up one in my life.
And you liked it better than guitar?
It. I loved it way better than the guitar.
Yeah. Well,
and that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Do you play anymore?
No, I ain't picked up a guitar.
You even have one?
Yeah, I got 2 of them sitting in the closet.
Oh, you do?
Dirt.
Collecting dust.
Yeah. So.
No doubt about it. Well, Ty here, you've been all over the place for sure. But and now you're in a restoration business. Over the years, you were processing cattle.
Yep.
Had a big business doing that. That's kind of where me and you got connected. We weren't connected for several years. I mean, knew who you were. It's not like we had going different directions, but it wasn't nothing like that. It was just you were off doing something and I was doing I stayed in the same spot.
Not me. I was living the Waylon Jennings song of Rambling Man.
Oh, you're like a Texas tumbleweed. You're blown here and there and all over the different places. And so that's kind of what we're going to get into today of talking about that. Because even back then, I think you were serving the Lord. I don't know. I mean, you could justify that, but you had a relationship with the Lord, even though he might have been here, there, and in between.
Yeah, I don't know if at that time that I was so much serving the Lord. I was a Christian and saved, obviously.
Yeah.
But
there was no fruit.
I think the only time I prayed was when I was hungover and hurt, and I'm like, God, please don't let. That was probably at that time the only time I would pray. So.
Yeah, the sinner's prayer.
The sinner's prayer.
Lord,
I won't do it again. And then the next night.
You vowed to God and you lied to him over and over and over. I think probably people listening on here and even myself can vouch for that. There's been many times we've made a vow and went, liar, liar, pants on fire.
Few times.
But let's go even back then, riding bulls. Like, did you start riding bulls right out of high school?
Well, no. Right out of high school I did, but I got on some steers and things like that when I was younger. But we can back up a little bit before that, and I'll start off with like where my dad was.
Okay.
And so my dad died in 94 or 93. I was 10 years old, I think. And at one time, Dad was, I believe he was top 5 in the world at one time. And Dad could ride bulls better than most people going nowadays. But Dad died.
Was your dad a Dalhart boy?
Dad was actually, he was born and raised in Sunray.
Okay.
And then I believe that's where he graduated at, in Sunray.
Okay.
But anyway, so Dad was a big time bull rider. He was legit. And the cool story about that is I didn't really know my dad because Mom and my stepdad at the time hadn't been married. And that's kind of how the whole the team roping kind of got involved with it. But
Potter.
Yep, Potters. Great people, taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dad, which throughout the years of riding bulls and being involved in the sport, I've got to meet a lot of people across this whole country that knew my dad, which is really cool. Sometimes
cool.
people come up and they tell you some Wild West story that they probably didn't even know Dad, but they like to live in that moment.
Sure.
Hey, me and your dad had a beer the other night. Good for you, or you'll meet people that'll come up and just be bawling their eyes out at you. But so as far as the bull riding starting off, I rode some calves, rode some steers, and then after that,
With him?
No. Dad died when I was about 10.
Okay.
And so after that, my stepdad, he'd take us to little rodeos or junior rodeos or something. We'd get on some steers and things like that. But I didn't really get on anything because that's when I really picked up team roping. God gave me a talent to swing a rope. Don't know if I was good at it, but
I'll vouch for that.
I could swing a rope a little bit.
Yeah.
I could rope a dummy. I'm pretty good at that. But anyway, so I went to college, had a full ride rodeo scholarship to college, and roping in there, and we were getting on bulls.
Where was that at?
That was in Border. I had several offers all over the
Frank
place.
Phillips.
Frank Tech, Harvard on the Hill,
That's what I was about to say, Harvard on the Hill.
which was a large time all in itself, but we ain't going to go there. But yeah, so I went to college on a rodeo scholarship, full ride. The bull riders, which was funny at the time, I was better friends with bull riders all through high school rodeos and so forth, more so than the team ropers.
Connected with him.
Yep. And so we had some buddies down there that always ran the chutes for us while we were practicing at college, and they talked me into, hey, since us bull riders run the chutes for you guys, one of you team
Pull the
ropers
gate.
got to go get on a bull. It's like, well, I'll do it. I've been on a handful here and there and tried out. And do you remember Rowdy Thomas?
Mm-mm.
He's from Fritch. He's the one that conned me into it.
Okay.
Not really conned me into it. I wanted to do it, but it was a little practice pin there in Fritch, Texas, and vaguely remember it. I got on a bull, first one, big time, not big time, but practice pin bull. Rode my bull. I remember, he turned back both ways and got him stuck. Well, all of our scholarship bull riders, I think all of them fell off. And Coach was trying to enter me in the bull riding at the next rodeo. I think it was in Lubbock at the next college rodeo. I'm like, are you lost your mind? And so.
Did you have fun doing it at least?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And it's like I've taught people, like we've done some schools here and there, some bull riding schools. And it's like I said, you'll know if you want to do it when you get on them.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit down on them and
I knew
if
I
you
didn't want to do
don't, just get off of them.
Yeah.
It ain't no big deal. Everybody will call you every word on their book, but why don't you get on them if you're saying that? But anyway, so that's kind of how that all started. And I kind of quit. At that time, I was roping a little bit still.
At Frank Phillips.
At Frank Tech.
On a
scholarship, going to college rodeos, roping. But at the same time, I was getting on bulls.
Mm.
Well, I started loving getting on bulls way more than I did roping.
Yeah.
I still continue to rope a little bit more so, but I primarily started focusing on riding bulls. And so.
That was at Frank Phillips.
Frank Tech.
Now, I want to just a side note here. I was talking to a guy the other day. During that time, didn't you feel like there was a lot of places where you could get on bulls?
Oh, everywhere under the and
we had Ernie Messers just right here down the road.
That was a death trap. But yeah, you had Messers right here.
Yeah.
You can go in a 10-mile radius and get on bulls.
And I remember too, even the beginning years of the church, that's before it was covered.
Right.
That was the main thing. I mean,
Oh.
a lot of people owned bulls, and there was a lot of people around here that some of them were just tire kickers, but they wanted to see whether they liked it. And somebody asked me the other day, if I wanted to get into bull riding, who do I go to? I'm like, I know Skip Jones. I know he still has a handful, but heck, he used to buck a ton at his house. I don't know that he still does that anymore, but there was just options. So what my question is, why aren't there options anymore?
I don't think they make bull riders anymore. As far as they make bull riders, but it ain't like it used to be, so to speak. You know how everything's changing, but as far as bull riding back then, now as contractors and as a person that has bulls, I got to pay somebody to come get on a bull.
Isn't that something?
And I'm like, back then we had to pay to go get on bulls.
That's
or
right.
if not, we just get on, somebody had a handful of bulls, just come get on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, go get on. But now things have changed so much in the sport, and
Is there not as many bull riders coming up, you think?
I don't think so. Not like there was. In the panhandle of Texas back then, I don't know what it's like now, but back then there was a good pile of bull riders that come out from this
Stormy.
area. Yeah, you had Storm. There's a lot of names I could sit here. Clay Taylor was Jamma. Rocky Fry. Cooper Owens. There's Rowdy Sanders. Rowdy Thomas. There's a handful of bull riders that right here in this area that were just as good as anybody in the country.
We got like Dawson now.
Yeah, and you got Dawson.
But he was kind of, during that time, he was just a kid watching these guys and got excited about it.
Crazy story about Dawson. So Cody Custer and I had a school here at the church, I believe. And
Long time ago.
20
and
years Dawson was getting on steers, I think, at that time.
Yeah.
I remember working with him and helping him way back when.
Scott Mendez, he had one here as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think back, but Cody Custer, I mean, both of them were great instructors, but I mean, that was back before we had a covered arena, and I want to say we covered the arena.
I remember getting on Rusty Lundergreen had a bull.
Yeah,
I believe it was Rusty. I can't remember. That's been a long while back. Lucky. Yep, and travel with Rusty just a little bit there too. Rusty was pretty good too in his time. But remember, the arena didn't have a cover on it. I think it was every Wednesday night or Thursday nights was the bull riding.
Thursday night buckouts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was a blizzard that night. Like, it was cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, I don't want to get on this big white bull of Lundergreens and end up getting him rode. But it was cold.
Guy Winters, he used to bring down a bunch of bulls down. Oh yeah, in fact, the very first time I did any kind of ministry at this church was down at the bull riding, and I had a cereal box. I didn't know where I was going with this, but I had a cereal box of, remember Life cereal? I don't even know if they make it anymore. And I did a message on what does your life look like, and I started taking stuff out of the box, and that was a message that I probably ended up preaching to youth over the years, being a youth pastor. But that's where I'm telling you, the very first time I did any kind of ministry was down there with a bunch of
roughnecks. Such good bull ridings and like a big. You remember they had the Halloween bull ridings? They had the New Year's
Hallelujah night,
the Valentine bull ridings.
Yep.
And you would get, even on the Thursday night buckouts, even when they're covered, you would get, I don't know, just say 50 to 80 bull riders almost every Thursday night.
Easy. It'd be all night long.
Oh.
I remember coming home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And then drive back to Dollar to jack around the next day. But
and there would be some of those, I remember 1,000 people showing up at them.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
And I think, whatever happened to that? That was a great stepping stone. Or like guys like we travel on the weekends to get on a chance to get on either practice throughout the week right there.
Mm-hmm.
What a great stepping stone.
What do you, there's got to be, like this. We went and saw Charlie Kirk the other night, and he said that this year, male Gen Zers will vote more conservative than they have in the last 50 years. And he put it to the influence. He talked about the influence of like these boys listening to Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Sean Ryan, where they're teaching them how to be an alpha male.
Right.
Just be, don't call in sick, be a good husband, be a good dad, all of these things that they don't realize that they may not be putting scripture behind it, but they're showing them how to be a biblical man.
Right.
And through all of that, they're going to be a little more conservative, right? Show up to job and work, those types of things. And where on the female side, so what I'm saying is he had a formula to why that is happening. So this is what I'm thinking. What's the formula? I just see kids now, I don't know. They don't have that sense of...
They don't got the
cojones.
The alpha male to them. It's like... And everybody's got it in their head. And I'm speaking from experience with the bulls that I got is if the bull is labeled a PBR bull, you can pretty much bet you ain't going to get nobody on him. It don't matter if he's a duck spinner.
Mm-hmm.
you ain't gonna get anybody on it because he's got the reputation of, oh, he's been hauled to the UTBs, or oh, he's a PBR. Why not? Why wouldn't you go get on that? That's what you're getting on. Practice on him.
Yeah.
You know, I understand getting on some jumping
By all
and kickers
means,
or whatever.
you wear a helmet now.
The old brain bucket.
We brought to you by this. We're going to take a commercial right here. Go to no, I'm kidding, but and that's what I see. I mean, there's tons of team ropers, but just in this area alone, this was a place that, I mean, all over the place, people had bulls. Our Wendy's brother over there in Fritch, he had some bulls. I can't think of the name, but Cody something. But
Cody Harden.
Cody Harden.
Yeah, that's another guy that was a good bull rider.
Yeah.
Around here.
Yeah, but I mean, just thinking back, there was a lot of people that had those. You might be the only one, other than a handful. Siles, and he had some over there in Hereford, some good bulls. You might be the only other one that I know that have some buck and stock. And it might just be me stuck right here in the panhandle of Texas, but I'm asking you because you go all over the place. I mean, you're judging these PBRs.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Is it the same way everywhere? Like, are people saying the same thing? It's not.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much the same way. Where, going back to where, Dad's era in that area, and how the generations have just slowly dropped off.
They'd get on a bull every night if they could.
Oh, in their tinny shoes with a flank rope. And if it's like what I always say is, like, Dad and them in that era, they would jump on bushwhacker in the backyard, and whoever fell off of him would get made fun of and probably get the crap beat out of them for it. Nowadays, if you tell Travis you fell off of so and so, which was a duck.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Let's pat you on the back and you'll be all right.
So my whole point is this: we're making men weaker. You think?
I think so. And I don't think just in the bull riding world. You look at the workforce and...
Oh, absolutely.
Woo-wee.
We can go down that rabbit trail all you want to, for sure. But
Right.
I just see it even like in shoeing and all that different stuff. It's like, man, you just...
They probably don't make horse shears anymore either because it's tough work.
It is.
I shod 10 head one day, or helped a guy shod. I tell you what, buddy.
That's a poor way to serve the Lord, isn't it?
Oh, I was so sore in places that you can go get on 10 bulls and not be sore in them places.
Oh,
I couldn't walk for a week afterwards, so hand it to you guys.
You know, and doing it now, I've been doing it 20 years. Still, I'll have them big days. I'll go down there, Shannon Benson, down there in Borger. He's got a place that he's working at, and I'll go do 10, 11 head, and I'm telling you. And I do it all the time, but when I go do more than that, I'm thinking, man, my dogs are barking for sure.
But have a bottle of ibuprofen, eh?
That's it. That's what I always tell them. All I need is time and Advil. I have a big time. But anyways, going back to this in high school. So do you think there was a part of you that was just pulling on those dad strings of, man, I want to make him proud?
I think as far as, glad that you said that, because I think bull riding has always kept me, like, either mentally, whatever you want to call it, connected with my dad, just because that's what Dad did, and that's what Dad was good at.
What did he die of?
He died in a car wreck coming in Farmington, New Mexico.
Okay, too early.
Yep, way too early. But, I think that was just a way of always keeping me connected with him. Mm-hmm. And then it turned into, man, I just fell in love with it.
Sure.
Even to this day, at 41 years old.
Oh, you eat,
judging
sleep,
these
and
events,
breathe
and I'm sitting there thinking, how did you fall off that one? I know I can't ride him, but how did you fall off of him? That kind of thing. But still to this day, I feel like there's a connection with Dad in the sport of bull riding. And just to see a bull, just to see him walk and the smell of them, it's just, to me, it's just like a fresh air. I mean, I can't explain what it's like.
Yeah.
To just be around them, so to speak. And it's like Slingers. I got a couple of bulls that I really truly just love. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a bull that I don't love. I got some that have special barn names, but you got Slinger. Slinger's, he's big. He's a big black bull that's probably the biggest puppy dog you can ever meet in your life. But you put him in a pen or a pasture with other bulls, he's the alpha. You can't put him with other bulls. Mm-hmm. He's the boss. But when it's game time, this dude turns on a light switch, and it's like, I'm the boss.
Yeah.
In the time that I've owned him, he's never been ridden at any level. And I think his average buck off time's 2 seconds. But to see him buck and to watch this big animal just do his thing, I've got chill bumps thinking about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he's just I can't describe what he's like. And he's just a connection with him to where I've had more deep conversations with him than my wife, I think. We'll be out in the pen or something, and I'll be all over him, just scratching him all over, and because he loves it.
Yeah.
He's just a big old puppy dog.
Isn't that amazing? That's what's always blown me away. I mean, even when they had him down here, like helping Guy Winters load bucking horses.
Mm-hmm.
Man, when they're in the pen and loading, I mean, you can just talk to them. They go right up in the trailer. I mean, just they've done it so much, and you don't really have to fear for your life until that flank strap comes on. And so it's such a sign of meekness. Meek is not weak. It's
Yep.
And they have that. I mean, they're an animal. They're sensitive, but that's where they perform, and that's where they have
That's
a
their
big
job,
time.
and they know. And I think they truly love it. Like
I do
Slinger,
too.
I can leave Slinger at home, and I'll come, and he'll be there at the gate just tearing the place down, like literally look like Baghdad went off out there. And as soon as I pull up through the driveway, it's like Jurassic Park out there at 3:00 in the morning with all the bulls screaming or something like that.
Yeah, you left me.
Yeah, he
dirty
gets
rat.
mad. Like he likes to go. He truly loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny story too is that here at Coben Puckett's event, his PBR here, I took Slinger to it, and I don't know, he bucked off one of the Brazilians like real quick, like they barely opened the gate, and he fell off. Well, Slinger usually will take like a little victory lap and go right out the gate. Well, some reason Slinger did not want to go out the gate, and what's that world champion calf roper that lives out here?
Monty Lewis?
No, not Monty. He was from New Mexico. I cannot think of his name.
Lives here in Amarillo?
I think he does. Just out west of town.
Brent Lewis.
Brent Lewis
Yeah.
was the safety guy out at that event at that time. And he sticks it on Slinger, and Slinger, he can't get Slinger out. Like, will not get any. Brent can rope, obviously. He's handy.
Oh.
And he got a rope.
Dude, that guy is a
coil
cowboy.
slack. Oh, hands down. Somehow got a, slack in the rope, and it went down Slinger's front leg. And I'm thinking, oh, no, he's about to break Slinger's leg. And so I jump off the bucking chute, and I run out all the way out to the arena. And at that time, Brent's having heck getting Slinger drug out because Slinger, he's big. And so Brent handed me his rope. And this is out in the middle of the arena. And I know my wife thinks I'm crazy, but so I grab a hold of this rope, and of course, Slinger, he's going to get another horse. And so I got a hold of Slinger, and Slinger's dragging me all over the country. I weigh $140, $150. I might be a little heavier now, but I'm running across there with Slinger. I roll my ankle so stinking bad.
Oh, Lord.
You know how it feels to roll an ankle.
Oh, yeah. You're
It
probably in
smoked
some
it.
deep sand,
Oh, yeah.
dirt.
And finally we get Slinger out. He finally goes out, no problem. And I'm sitting there, and finally, kind of after your nerves wear off or adrenaline wears off, you can feel it. And I'm thinking, oh, good Lord, I just broke my ankle. I had to get on a flight the next morning to Omaha
Oh, Lord.
because I had processing crews up in Nebraska, and I'm hobbling through the airport. I got a prig check. I don't know how many head it was at that time. It was quite a few, but I can't really walk. So I'm like, Slinger, owe you one, bro.
Absolutely. Is that the only one you own now?
No, I've sold most of them, and I've got a partner out in Alabama that's got
Sweet Home?
cows and my calves. And
Okay. So he's helping you produce.
Yep.
Okay. Well, cool.
And he ended up buying the cows and the calves, and had some pretty good calves this year that should be all right. You can always hope and dream that they're going to be good, and 9 times out of 10 they're just going to. But he's got them out in Alabama. I got a bull down at Dad's. But yeah, at one time we had.
Here in Dalhart?
Yep.
Okay,
We
gotcha.
had a handful of them.
So going back there, so you start getting on bulls. When in all of this, when did you get saved? When did you?
I got saved when I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
So I grew up in church and knew what church was and went to church my whole life.
Uh-huh.
But let's go within that portion of it. So got saved I was about 10 years old. Grew up in church my whole life. knew who God was. Of course, throughout my bull riding and all that, I think it was in 06 was when I hurt my head. But at the church here, remember the first buckle series was a 6-week series. I won all 6 of them. And then the next series was a spring series, I believe, and I won that too. Well, then after that, I started holding, prayer groups and things behind the buck and shoots at events wherever we were at. And in 06, got jerked down or whatever happened and put me in a coma.
Was it here?
No, it was in Clayton, New Mexico, of all places. I believe we were coming back from somewhere and stopped there in Clayton, ended up in there. And I don't remember anything from that day, obviously. But
did they airlift you to Amarillo?
Yeah, they airlifted me out of there. Was in a coma, had to have brain surgery, blah, blah, blah. Or they put a pin and plates up in my skull. But they had pretty much at that time called in the family and said, hey, peace out. He's done. Come say your goodbyes. If I survived, I'd be pretty much a vegetable. They'd have to teach me how to walk and talk and all that all over again. So after being in a coma for 2 weeks, I woke up. And I remember waking up that morning. It was 7:19 in the morning. I don't know if you can remember that year, but it was dry. Like, it did not rain that year.
In 06?
06. And I remember looking out the hospital window, trying to figure out where in the world I'm at. And I could see it was raining. And I had all these cords and everything hooked up to me, and I yanked them all out. And I was getting up to walk out of that hospital room about the time the doctor walks in. You thought he'd seen a ghost. And because I was supposed to be pretty much dead. And him and I carried on a conversation just like you and me are. So
you remember it?
And everything was good. I don't remember a lot of that. I can kind of remember bits and pieces of it. But 3 days later, I'm out of the hospital.
Were you on a respirator?
I believe so.
You pulled it out?
I pulled everything out.
Come on. Dang right. Well, that's a walking, talking testimony right there.
Crazy Wild West story.
So let me ask you this. When you got hurt, did that make you want to stop riding bulls?
No, that's the first thing I want to do is go get on one.
I know.
That was literally
the answer to that.
First thing I wanted to do. I literally drove from the hospital 3 days later after getting out of the hospital. After I woke up, I drove to where that bull was at. And I told him, I said, if I ever get you again, I'm going to kill you. I never got to get on him again. But he probably thought, I'll kill you if we get on him again. But
did you get out of the hospital right after that?
3 days later, after I woke up, I was out. And they wouldn't let me walk out. I had to ride a wheelchair out.
And you had, obviously staples in your head at that particular time, didn't you?
Yep. I had a handful of them. I got that scar all the way across here to where they had to open it up. And
yeah, Frankenstein.
Yep. And I think it was...
Was that back when you had hair?
Yeah. Yep. And I take a razor, not a razor, but I shave it all plumb slick. I look like a white supremacist or something.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, went straight there, talked to that bull, had a conversation with him, and sure he felt the same way about me.
You're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back.
Hey, and speaking of that time, you remember Jimbo Albritton?
Yeah.
Jimbo, we were...
I know who he is.
Yeah, he's a bullfighter, handy son again.
Yeah.
And him and I believe... I was supposed to stay home for like 3 months and not do nothing. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't do that. I think it was like a week.
Were all you doing at this particular time riding bulls?
Riding bulls, and then I was at Besner's, working at Besner's too at that time.
Okay, yeah.
And so I think I got in a tractor, I believe. I know I did. Got in a tractor, was putting out hay or something, and I jumped up in the tractor. Well, on the John Deere, they have the side mirrors that stick out way out there. Well, when I jumped up in there, I split my head wide open right here. A week after I just got out of the hospitals, they said if I ever got hit in the head, it'd kill me. Well, obviously it won't.
So this is a week after you probably have staples in your head.
Oh yeah,
and you're going back to work. No rest for the wicked.
Get her done. but at that time, it was.
I hope Brandy listens to this. That's something I'd do.
Yeah, you're kind of.
How good are you going to get sitting around?
You can't.
You
You
can't.
get bored out of your mind.
Oh, 100%.
And I don't play video games or anything like that, so
Yeah.
I got to go do something.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'll take a nap. I love a nap.
What you needed to do is go down to the grill and get you a good greasy hamburger. That'd make you feel better.
The old grill.
Come on. Is it still open?
I don't know. We drove through there last night because I hadn't stopped at the, Lisa and I did. It was, it was about getting dark right in there. And I stopped there at the cemetery and seen Dad, talk to him for a minute at his grave site there. And because I hadn't been there in like 2 years maybe. So I was like, I better stop in and see the old man.
Mm-hmm.
And so we stopped, and then we just right on the Amarillo.
Payat. My goodness. So that's the thing that I remember was, people were saying, Ty, is he done? Is he done? But you weren't done.
Nope.
You were not done.
No, and
at
I think at that time it lit a fire. Like it made me crave it that much more.
So how many more bulls did you get on after you got hurt?
I rode for another
Couple
till
years?
2012 after that. I can't countless times the latchman asked me to move out of the way so he could shut the gate, but I loved it. I enjoyed it. I truly did.
So during that time from like 06 to 2012, were you still working at Besner? I remember at one time you moved over to Caprock Feed Yard.
Yep.
You were there. Is that what you were doing? Was just cowboying and then,
Yep.
weekend warrior riding bulls?
Yep. Buddy barrel racer on the weekends.
Yeah.
But, yep. I was a manager at that feed yard too at that time. But I'd take off and go ride bulls.
So from like 2012 to, let's say, when did you end up over here? Range Riders, when I kind of reconnected with you.
Man, that was a rough time in my life through that period.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, was that a time when you were away in Mexico?
Yeah, I was living the good life.
Because you had went through a divorce.
Yep, got a divorce, went through all that. Golly, what was that? Probably 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
I want to say it was before 2020. I want to say that was 18, 19, something like that.
Yep. And I promised I could outdrink anybody in the county at that point in my life.
Yeah, you were hurting.
Big time.
Yep.
Big time.
You were trying to fill a gap of security and significance.
Very well said.
And it was being blocked. We could totally get down the rabbit trail of that here in a minute. But,
blocked by Lone Star beer and belt buckles.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know.
So during that time, but you were still, even though you weren't riding bulls, you were...
Still involved with it.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I had a good friend of mine. It was actually a good friend of my dad's, Jim McLean down in Duncan. It's down there helping him with his bulls and his calves.
Is that Central Texas?
Oklahoma.
Oh, Duncan, Oklahoma.
Duncan, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yep. I moved down there for a short period of time. I was helping him with his bulls and so forth with that. And then...
So where was the Lord in any of this?
Good question.
You were running.
He was out there just watching me, I think.
You were running.
I was running, straight up running.
Did you know you were running?
Yep. I would say yes.
Yeah.
I knew where it was at, but this was more happier than this to me at that time.
I mean, because I think back on, I remember us having some, even in that processing barn up there in Besner, I knew you were seeking the Lord. You may have not been completely on fire, but we had some deep theological questions.
Man. We had a prayer meetings.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Yep.
I could see you. And so that's why I'm saying, it seems like from that time when you quit riding bulls, it just seemed like you just...
At that time, I felt like, God took it away from me, so to speak. He took the one thing
that was your God.
That I loved.
That's what brought significance to you.
Yep.
Was riding bulls. It was your security because that was your identity of who people saw you as, and that's what you wanted people to see you as.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see somebody that's a bull rider, you're thinking, man, this guy's a cool cat.
He's a BA.
I mean, stud.
Right.
But God obviously had other plans.
Right.
So after the head injury, it's like, there ain't nobody going to tell me what I can't do. Mm-hmm. That's how my whole life's been. You ain't going to tell me.
Well, I'm sure there was a part of you thinking, if he didn't take me out this time.
Oh, and the injuries after that, after the head injury, just...
How many broken bones?
How many not? It's
yeah.
Like, you break your back in two places at an event. You break your shoulders. You got this shoulder's
Have you ever
plumb.
broke a leg?
That was my biggest fear in my life,
Yeah, because they're long.
was breaking a leg. I knew if I could break anything else in my body, I'm good to go. But if I broke a leg, I knew I'm stuck.
Sure.
And actually, the only leg issue I ever had, besides your normal bumps and bruises, steps on, blah blah blah, was here. We were getting on they had an event or something going on. I can't remember. And a guy out of Canadian had some bulls, some young bulls here. And I can't. King, was it King? I can't remember his name now, but he had a little red bull and won the deal on him. And I jumped off, and when I did, that bull come back around with his back legs, and it tore my ACL and meniscus in my right leg. And then I believe the following night, I was traveling with a guy named David McLean at that time. Him and I were pretty good buddies, and we were entered up at a bull riding up in Colorado that had like, I don't know, 5 or I can't remember that. It was a pretty big, good bull riding. But all of a sudden they come up with a bull riding here in Claude, Texas that had the same amount added. I was like, heck, this is in our backyard. Let's go to that. We'll just cancel going to Colorado. And we were talking about Dean Randolph earlier, who was a good friend of my dad when Dad was alive too. And of course, at that time, my knees swelled up to the size of a cantaloupe. I can't hardly walk, literally. And Dean picked me up over the bucking chutes and put me on the bull that night. And I think me and Dave one-two'd him. And I had to crawl out because I couldn't walk. And then we went to the lake the next day. But it's terrible.
Oh, man.
And then went to the doctor on Monday.
When you're 70, you're probably going to be feeling these things.
Well,
Or you
at
feeling
that
them
time-
already now at 40.
Yeah, there's times where, I'm not going to lie, like, there's times. But you just got to get up and go.
What's that?
Can't lay there.
What's that Australian bull rider that won NFR? Round 4 or 5 this last?
Kai Hamilton.
Kai Hamilton. He got knocked out the night before.
I'll show you a video of him. I had a bull in Memphis, Tennessee, a couple of years ago that yard darted him over his head and
Don't be a sissy.
flipped him around. No, Kai's a bull rider, so that's a bull
Oh,
rider.
and he's tougher than corn cob,
Oh.
man.
And those are few and far between nowadays. You don't have that though.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
kids that'll get on hurt or
Oh
they're paid anyway. So
yeah.
heck, I'm just gonna heal up. Or then you had to.
So 2012 to 2018, 2019, while you're away in Mexico, did you have any God moments? Or did you even have eyes to see him and ears to hear him? But I believe if they're God moments, you know it, right?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You had God moments throughout the ups and downs of
Sure.
that portion of life.
Sure.
And going through what I went through in that time of my life. I would say without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Okay.
I was at a pond. It was New Year's Eve. I was at a pond, me and all the bulls were sitting there fishing. It was just me and the bulls. And I think
Where's this pond?
This was in Duncan, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And me and the bulls are sitting there hanging out, and it's New Year's midnight. It's dark, can't see nothing.
Cold.
No, it wasn't bad. And there's a bull, I can't remember, I called him Bubba, I believe, red ball-faced bull of Jim McLean's. He was kind of a pet too, but he'd stand right there beside me the whole time. And I was having a meltdown moment that night, so to speak. And so I think that would be a God moment.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think that was around 18, 17? That was kind of towards the end of it?
Probably because when I come back here, and I was helping Skip at that time, took his bulls to some velocity tours and in that whole scenario. We took some bulls up to Youngstown, Ohio. Then I took them out to Vegas. And, Skip had a pretty good set of bulls at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And at that time, we were getting on practice bulls at his place every Wednesday night. We had a pretty good little crowd coming over to get on young bulls, and then we'd give them the good bulls to end it with it. And me and Hayden Wilson was there, and we had a good time. I would not necessarily say it was focused on God at that time. Mm-hmm. It was probably just living life.
Yeah.
and a lot of beer drinking. But I think as far as when you're talking about your God moment, the beer drinking's been your downfall the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been.
That's your blocker.
That's my blocker.
That's your blocker.
Because I'd always turn when things would get sticky or I get stuck in a situation.
Yep, trying to fill the gap.
Get you a beer, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
And so grab a beer,
And it
let's
ain't
roll.
a beer.
No, I could put them down.
Sure.
For a little skinny white boy, I can put them down.
Yeah.
Not something I'm proud of
Fill both legs.
now, but
Yeah, and all the way to the
then
top.
was.
So where is the place? Where is the place that you can say? Do you have a date? Do you have a moment to where there was a big turnaround in your life? And what was the events that were leading up to that particular place?
So, Lisa and I got married in 21. Big Vegas wedding.
We
Bull
got
Riders,
married
Vegas.
in a fever.
I know. I wanted to do the drive-up scene with Elvis, but she didn't want to. I thought that'd be really sick.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had, all my bull riding friends were there, which was probably not the best scenario at that time for a wedding in Vegas with bull riders everywhere. But we did it. And, the processing was going great. Business was going great. Spending money like rock stars, basically. And it wasn't for the Lord. I mean, it really was not for God in any manner. Did we pray about it? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Did we go to church? Absolutely. But when you get out of church, it was like happy hour at the Mexican food joint. Let's drink some margaritas and buck bulls that night or something. But I think the turning point for that really, after 41 years of being on this rock, after I did not want to go to Life Surge. Did not want to go. And my wife basically talked me into it.
This is recently.
About a little over a month ago. But at that time, I was kind of on the brink of getting my life changed, turned around. But I was still holding on to that beer a little bit. In that kind of life, not so much for the partying and the bar scene, but so I went to Life Surge, and
You hadn't completely crucified the flesh.
no, I was going to church again, and then I stopped.
Yeah.
And then I got real, kind of a bitterness, so to speak.
Sure.
Because I'm thinking, okay, PBR, the judging's good, still involved with the sport, business is going good, but I'm missing something.
Yeah.
I love riding bulls. I love bull riding. I love everything about it. But there's this piece much that's still missing. You got that much joy with it. It's kind of like a beer. You got that much joy with it, but you're still empty.
Mm-hmm.
And so after I went to Life Surge, go ahead. Sorry.
And I have, I'll say this, and I've mentioned this to many guys before. Sometimes the scariest places is when you're the most successful. I find myself even the most vulnerable, let's say after a Sunday where 5 people got saved and 4 people got healed. And I know I didn't do that. The Lord did that. But that's kind of a victory moment. What I'm getting at is when your pocketbook's full, checking count looks good, when everything on the surface, that's when your flesh gets the loudest and your spirit can get the weakest. And so that's where you got to pick up that cross daily. Have you see what I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely.
That's when, because that's what everybody sees you as being successful. That's a win. But really now you're tormented of where the enemy can come in like a flood because you're letting your wall down. And you don't realize you got to that place of victory because you kept a close relationship with the Lord. And so, and maybe not in this particular place, but sometimes I find myself where I need the Lord the most is when I'm at the highest.
Right.
Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And touching on that topic was, okay, I got all these bulls. I got all this money, but I'm still miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I've got what I've worked for, what
you
I
wanted.
Yep. But that's not, now that I see everything, And it's taken 41 years to figure it out, but I'm glad I figured it out because I have finally found the peace and the joy and the happiness where the Bulls didn't bring necessarily, or that cold beer sitting over there didn't bring, or having a banking account plumb full that didn't bring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can go buy Jordans all I want. Boy, that's a satisfying moment for 10 minutes, and then.
Right.
But now that where I'm at, it's just a peace and a happiness that I can't even explain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've tried to get out to people here lately is, I think the thing is why wait?
Yeah.
Why wait? I've been there. I've done everything that you guys have done times 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it, man.
So you're saying you hate that you had to wait 41 years to get to the place that you're at now?
I don't hate it.
Yeah,
I think
because
God,
of the journey, right?
I think the journey was absolute wreck.
Well, and I think it makes you appreciate it a little bit more of where you're at. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the journey was a train wreck, literally.
Yeah.
There was good times and there was bad times, as everything in life.
Sure.
But where I'm at now, it's not just the church high, so to speak. It's a levelness about it that, bro, you are real. It's like, God, you are real. You've answered so many prayers, it's just unbelievable that I've been like, he didn't do that, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's crap. He did it.
Mm-hmm.
And getting me to realize that and getting me to understand that, because I'm hard-headed as they get.
Sure. Absolutely. The hardest part is what? To change. And to stay there.
It has not been that bad. And if I make up a decision in my mind, I'm done. Like if I want to stop chewing, I could quit. It's not an issue. I can stop drinking. It's not an issue. I'm around it all the time.
Yeah.
The sense of urgency for it ain't there. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you go to a restaurant, like we're talking about margaritas at the Mexican place. The other night, dude sitting right next to me drinking a margarita. I was like, man, let's get some sweet tea. They don't got sweet tea in Colorado, but so you got to dump a pound of sugar in it to get it right. But no, I mean, it's just like now to see everything, like to put God first into everything and to see how he works and how he is working. It ain't just I hope God fixes this situation.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's giving you the situation. He's going to fix it, but you got to believe it, and you got to have faith. Like my wife always says, a mustard seed, and she's got all these necklaces with a mustard seed in it and a cross. If you got that much faith in it, you can move a mountain.
That's right.
I believe it 100%, whereas you'd ask me that a year ago, I'd have been like,
Hebrews 11:6, for without faith it's impossible to please God. But also says faith without works is dead.
Perfect.
And so that's the thing is you can have that all you want to, but you got to put your hand to the plow.
Yep.
Right? You've got to turn the keys of the engine and turn it on. So going back to a more practical thing, so you have this basis, you have this foundation. You went to this surge. Tell us about the surge.
Oh, it was incredible. I didn't want to go. Froze my butt off. It was in a hockey ring in Denver, Colorado, of all places, and I thought, heck.
At Ball Arena or something?
No, this was at Denver University Hockey Stadium or something.
Okay.
We went to Ball Arena for that elevation worship thing, it was great, but going back to the hockey stadium, I froze to death for 9 hours straight, and I kept thinking the whole time I'm in this thing, I'm like, God hung on a cross for 3 days. I can freeze for 9 hours. I'll be fine. But it was literally the point where I said, why wait?
Mm-hmm.
Why wait? Tomorrow's not a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
An hour's not a guarantee. Why wait? You and me can walk out here and get smoked on Washington and we're gone. But
That's right.
I'm headed home. I'm headed to the kingdom. I'm not going to worry about where I'm going because I know where I'm going.
That's right.
And so it's just like, why wait? And then I went to that Life Surge. Lisa and I went to Life Surge, and we were talking about Craig Groeschel earlier. I have a whole new level of respect for that guy. And all the speakers were good, don't get me wrong. But Craig, Tebow, Tebow was incredible. Of course, Tebow's always incredible, but and John, I cannot think of that guy's name. He looks like somebody that signed the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
He's been around
good.
a while.
Oh, Lordy. He was good too. But there were so many good speakers at that, but there's a couple that just really hit home. And those guys like that was what. And
Put a new zeal,
Yeah.
new excitement.
Yep. Like what they say. Why wait? Why are you wasting your time chasing sins of the flesh, so to speak? Why?
What good does
God,
it do?
God's given you everything that you could possibly want, and yet why are you not serving Him? Why are you not putting Him
The other night,
above everything?
there's a group of men I meet with. Cody's a part of that. But I told him this comment, and I've always said this. I've always said, even if this wasn't real, the word, I'm talking about the word, even if it wasn't real and Jesus wasn't coming back, I still would live by the principles and teachings of the Word of God.
Absolutely.
Proverbs 4:23, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. And then you go on, it talks about how you guard your mouth, how you guard your eyes, where your feet go, and all of those things. That is how you put so now you're at the surge, and so now after the surge, which is a couple months ago, right? Now what are we doing? And this goes for all of us. What are we doing to put a bouncer at the door of your heart of saying, I'm not just going to let anything or anyone in here. I've got to be careful. And I believe there's practical ways that we do that. Obviously, in Proverbs 4, he gives us some things to do that. But, just like you're saying, why wait?
Why wait?
Why wait? Put the bouncer at the door of your heart today.
So being like that was where I told you earlier, where I can quit things just like that. It's not a problem. I think in your mind, obviously God's first. Obviously you've got to open up with prayer. You've got to get in the book, whether read the Bible, get the Bible app, whatever the case is. But you've got to be staying with that, and don't quit. Stay with it. You don't. There's your bouncer. God's your bouncer.
Amen.
Old bearded hippie's right there waiting. I mean, he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we do. We wake up. I read my Bible app. I'm not necessarily into devotions a whole lot because I get to looking at them and then my brain goes 9,000 million places.
Yeah.
Which is the enemy beating against you?
Yeah.
Trying to make you not focus on it.
This is no joke. Every morning, Ty, when I read the Word, I close my eyes and I say, Lord, I come against any distraction that comes into my head because I have ADHD. I shouldn't say I have it. I'm not claiming anything, but adult attention deficit disorder for sure. But, I have so many things that are going on in my life. And if I'm not careful, that time that I'm supposed to be, just like right now, me spending with you,
Yep.
I'm staying honed in. I want to stay honed in the Lord. Like, I don't want to just read. I want to have a relationship with the Lord. Like, when I talk, I also want to hear what you have to say, God. But I have to come against every devil in hell. Would you agree? I mean, like...
Oh, golly, yeah.
Oh,
like
man.
you said, you open up in the mornings, and 9 times out of 10, the first thing I got to do is go to the bathroom. So that's where my time for the app, the prayers,
Is it an hour long?
Oh, Lordy, sometimes you
Is your legs numb when you...
There's times where, like, man, I've been in here for 45 minutes. Like, literally, a legit 45 minutes, and then you get up and you look like you got on 10 bulls. You can't walk out of there. It's like, but anyway, but no, as far as the enemy coming against you and trying to distract you from reading the Word and getting in that focus, is like what you said. You've got 5 million things on your brain. Whether it's the 50,000 businesses that are going on, dealing with the customers or the insurance adjusters, blah blah blah.
Right.
And it's hard to turn that off. It's hard to tune that out, but I can.
You can. And making that decision to do that is making it better. You could just go on Instagram and go down a dark hole for... I'm not saying it's a dark hole, a funny hole. If you've been on the Instagram I've been on,
yeah.
But TikTok and all that different stuff. In fact, this last week I did a deal on time of how there's 168 hours in a week. And if you sleep 8 hours every night, 7 days a week, that's 56 hours. And then if you have 56 hours that you work, so that takes up 112 hours. Now you have 56 left over. When you think about 50, and I work probably more than 56 hours. I'm sure you do too. But how much time do we waste
On a phone.
on a phone? Oh my gosh. Or waste just doing stuff. And it's like people say, well, I don't have time to read my Bible. It's like, yes, you do. I promise you, you do. You
Yep.
have time to pray. You have time to seek the Lord, but you have to be intentional about it. Read a deal the other day that people who read their Bible, and this was actually coming from a secular source, 4 days, at least 4 days out of the week, that their life is happier, their life is more full of joy. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd seen that deal.
Yeah, it's incredible,
It's
isn't
crazy
it?
the
Even
amount of the percentages.
if you
that are
just
involved.
do it 1 day a week, you're not going to have it.
No.
It's got to be consistency. I say this all the time. If you want confidence, you've got to have consistency. Like now, shoeing a horse, doesn't matter what it is. Obviously, there's new things that I can come up against all the time. And thank God for vets around here where I'm like, hey, I'm in a jam. I've never seen this before, but I've seen most of the things now. But I have confidence because I've been consistent and done it for years.
Yep.
And it's the same way with your walk with Christ. That consistency will create confidence. When the Goliath comes up, it's like I killed the lion, I've killed the bear. Now that the giant's here, it's just another battle to go up
Right.
against. Obviously, you're not, there's some things where you're like, oh man, I've never been up against this. But I'm just saying, when you spend time with God, it's a game changer.
It literally is.
It's a game changer. And you can't just, you can't just spend time on Sunday morning at church.
No. You got to do it 7 days a week.
I'm going to tell you right now, I say this from behind the pulpit all the time. The enemy is not afraid of you coming to church. He's afraid of you getting plugged in. He's afraid of you really taking this and applying this Monday morning and applying it Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, and fighting that good fight of faith.
Yep.
And so what are some things? Not just spending time in the Word. What are some things that you've been doing, like practical things that have changed?
Things like the other day we bucked a bunch of 3-year-olds with the first-time riders, I think, either first or second trips on a bunch of 3-year-olds. And I took a stack of Bibles with me. And I thought, I consider like Christianity and bull riding in the same sense, but I compare everything to bull riding. So,
Yeah,
because it takes guts to be getting on a bull, and it also takes guts to be a Christian.
that's right.
It takes guts to stand out to do it. And so at this little deal that we bucked them bulls at the other day, I was like, hey guys, let's gather behind the chutes. I want to talk real quick. And so I talked just a little bit. And I set the Bibles right there on the buck and chute. I said, anybody needs a Bible, there's one right there. Take them. They're free. Take them. I say, because it's just as easy to open a Bible as it is to crack a beer. Just try it. Call me. Tell me how you're going. Tell me how it's doing. Let me know how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard. It's just in your brain whether or not you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do it. Trust me, if I can change, I know you guys can change.
That's right.
It's real. So 2 Bibles were taken from that little practice still. So I was pretty stoked about it. And I got to speak at a bull riding tomorrow in Pueblo. So I'm pretty excited.
Is it a
about
PBR
it.
event?
No, that's just an old backyard deal, but it'll be all right.
So
No, my first PBR event back will be December 21st in Kearney.
So doors of opportunity have been open for you now.
Right. And remember the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago. I was like, I prayed like, hey God, I'm dumb. Like you're going to have to turn a light on and lead me to that light because I'm dumb. Show me what you want me to do. And then you and me had that conversation. Here I am with this. A couple weeks ago I was here at that bull riding speaking. And then I got one tomorrow. I think God's pushing me to speak into the sport I love, to bring people to Him
Mm-hmm.
And if he can use me in the sport of bull riding, great. But if he wants me somewhere else using me, great.
Yeah.
On top of a roof, while the guys are roofing,
Yeah.
or at a mitigation job the other day. Great people, great people. He prayed over me the other day. I guess it was just Wednesday. Went to his house. Super dude, major in the Air Force, pilot for United Airlines. Great people. Sat there and prayed over me. I
Wow.
was like, I've never had that done to me at a job site.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
If
But
you
now-
walked in and seen us, you'd have been like, hey, what's going on in here? We're holding hands. And
Yeah.
I told Lisa, and she goes,
It's
well,
Colorado.
Yeah, it's Colorado. It's okay. It's acceptable. It's acceptable. But yeah, so that was really neat. And so I'm trying to, like, God's given you the resources and the ways to, you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, absolutely. Here's the thing: is some people are trying to put a square peg in a round hole. When God, man, He opens up and puts people in the right place at the right time for such a time as this. But God uses what's in your hand. He told Moses, you have a rod in your hand. David, you have a sling in your hand. Like I said it a while ago, but I've been preparing you your whole life for such a time as this. You just had to call upon me. I just, you see it all throughout the Bible. I mean, Gideon. You see, so many stories in and of that. What is in your, I think about Paul, even before he became a Christian, he wrote, he would write curriculum,
Right.
theologian. And then the Lord got a hold of him and he said, hey, I want to use that same pen that is in your hand. And it's like, I'm not taking this bull riding away from you. I want to use what I've been setting your whole life up. And I want, that's already in your hand. Hey, I'm going to use that. The restoration business, that's already in your hand. And I think that's a good message to everybody out here. He doesn't want to take any of those things away, but He wants to come in and He wants to multiply it. He's a God of multiplication. He's a God of addition. And before, you were living in division and subtraction. Would you
I don't know
agree?
what I was living
Yeah,
in.
absolutely. And so he takes Paul and he says, all right, and I'll tell you my favorite books in the Bible in the New Testament is the letter to the Rome, the letter that was to the Corinthian church, the letter to the church at Ephesus, all of the great, great, great stuff that just comes off my tongue while I'm preaching. And it was no more than he had that experience in Acts chapter 9 where with Jesus. He said, why are you fighting against me? I want you to go to a street called Straight. He gives his life to the Lord, and you see in Acts chapter 9, he doesn't wait any moment. He goes and starts preaching the gospel. And when he gets locked up, the thing that was in his hand all those years, a pen, all that education that he had received, a pen, he said, you know what? I'm going to use the same pen, and I'm going to change the world. And I believe that's the same thing that you can do riding bulls, whatever it is that you do.
Right.
God doesn't want to take it away.
No.
He wants to make it better.
That's the God confidence thing I'm talking about, with having the courage to get on a bull, but also having the courage to be a Christian.
Absolutely.
Take that and go with it. Why wait?
Why wait?
So to speak.
And I'm
So,
sure you're I mean,
I've waited a long while.
Yeah. Well, you also too, if you've lived that, that double-edged sword life, that hypocritical life, you're going to have people saying, I know who the real Ty Crutchfield is.
Oh, there's a pile of them out there.
Absolutely. But it's going to take guts to say, you know what, I'm not that guy anymore.
No. Let's have sweet tea.
Yeah. Well, and just be the
Coffee.
testimony.
And be a testimony, more importantly. And that's where, like you just stated on, was people know me as this. Well, we serve a God of second chances.
Thank God for that.
Amen.
Yep.
and forgiveness. What's in the past is forgiven. You ask for forgiveness of your sins, and it's washed away, never to be
Cleanses
seen again.
you from all unrighteousness.
So why live here when I'm here?
Yeah.
There's no reason to be here. There's nothing there. It's gone. What good is that kind of life?
That's right.
I would rather be in this kind of life right now for the rest of my life. and it will be. I'm not saying it's all going to be peaches and cream every day.
That's right.
You're going to have ups and downs, and that's when you're going to have to stop and say, thank you, God. Even just that little bit. I was talking to a guy the other day. He's having a lot of health problems. He's fighting a lot of things. I think 3 out of 4 doctors, 1 doctor out of 4, let me rephrase that, said he had cancer. The other 3 said he didn't. I said, quit thinking about it. Quit fretting on it. Give it to God. Pray about it. And when you feel yourself getting down, you feel yourself getting low, just stop and even just a simple, thank you, God. Mm-hmm. That can change your whole mindset for the day.
Absolutely.
It can change everything. Our God we serve is a God that changes like that.
Yep. Take every thought be captive to the obedience of Christ. That's a big one, right?
Yeah. You've got to be obedient. You can't please God and then go crack a beer and drive around, and that ain't going to work, man.
Yeah. That's putting on the helmet of salvation.
Put a faith. Put the shields on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you would testify to this. I mean, the biggest battle we fight is inside of our head.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's the battle in the brain.
Mm-hmm. And because there's so many things in the natural. I mean, you run a restoration business that, just like you were telling me beforehand, and how you got into that, and it's amazing you had some battles right after you got started, but now staying in that, but dealing with people, dealing with things. I'm sure you're fighting headspace all the time.
It's a constant with that. And let me rephrase that. Not everybody's bad. You're going to run into your battles, either it be a customer or insurance adjusters in the way the insurance is nowadays. And then going back to after the Life Search thing, where I'll leave a church card on a counter, whereas I'd have never done that before. Why am I going to invite you to church?
I don't even know you.
I don't even know you. So now I leave a church card on the counters or whatever home I'm in, and I try to be a God light through me. Does that make sense?
Like, well, your focus now is people.
Right. And I put God first in my business. Try to, deal with these people like that.
Yeah.
And to see the light and the joy that comes through me, maybe that can be something into them and they'll change.
And you're in a crazy part of the world.
Oh, Lordy. We're not going to get into politics on here.
Yeah, Colorado Springs, yeah. But, I mean, here's the whole thing. The biblical concept behind that is, what's the greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And he said the second is as important as the first one, that you love your neighbor as you love yourself. So when you get connected to the heart of the Father, you automatically start having a heart for people.
Right.
Even though they have that Kamala Harris sign out in the front yard.
Is now the time to throw up the Catholic sign?
People know where I stand.
Speaking of a Catholic sign, I got to interrupt you because I'll forget. So I was in Nebraska a couple of years ago with the processing crews and all that. This guy named Pat, super nice guy. He's an older guy, fixing retired, been out there for probably 40-something years. Well, I'm not real familiar with Catholicism. How do you say the word?
Catholicism.
And, yeah. And Lisa and I was at a gas station getting coffee and snacks for the day, And Pat come in and had a cross drawn on his head. I said, "What happened to you, Pat? Did you get drunk last night and they drawed on you or what?" He goes, "No, it's Ash Wednesday." Oh, crap.
Open mouth.
Oh, dude,
insert size 11.
Lisa's always hitting me like, "Ty, shut up."
Oh gosh, it's hilarious. But isn't that something like, man, your heart? Because here's the deal: you read the book, you now start be about people. You know what I mean?
Even though at times I don't want to be about the people.
What's the great commission? Go into all the world and preach the gospel.
Preach the gospel.
And I know, I love that Psalm 103. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, who forgives all my sins and heals all my diseases. And because of the Lord and because of he's forgiven you He forgave you as far as the east is from the west. It's now you can't help but go out and be that testimony. I mean, because we've been around the block here already,
Oh,
being
wow.
hurt, of feeling like God's abandoned you, taking stuff away from you. There's a lot of those guys out there. That's exactly how they feel, whether it be through a divorce, a dad dying, a mom dying, loss, all of those things. You think this is the Lord, and it's like, no,
No.
you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God.
Amen.
Yep, yep. And so, but sometimes without us seeing it, we can turn our back on Him. Right now, we're in the middle of this series here at the church on Esther, and one of the things that blows me away about that particular text is there's a man named Haman, and he's the Hitler of the story, if you know the story. But the Bible says that he comes from the Agagites, the Amalekites, but from the king of Agag. And every time I read that, I always think back to, and what's crazy is Mordecai in the story, who is the cousin of Esther, that gets his cousin in there to be the queen in a Persian kingdom. It says he's from the tribe of Kish. And so when I read that, the tribe of Kish goes back to Saul, who is the first king of Israel. And the reason he gets kicked out of being king, or not being anointed by God anymore, is because Samuel tells him, he says to Saul, who's from Kish, he says, I want you to go and I want you to kill every Amalekite of the descendants of Agag. Kill them all. Well, he keeps the king. And that's what I see in this particular. And so then you fast forward to Esther, you have Haman, who's a part of Agag. Why is there even a descendant when he told him to kill them all? Because he kept the king.
Right.
And Saul was thinking this: I've already killed all the women, children, hogs, and everything else. Well, I'm going to keep the king. How many times do we do that in our life? Say, I'm just going to hold on to this one little thing. God, I want you to be the Lord of my life, but not in this one particular area. And until you surrender that, you are going to hurt generation to generation to generation. Now we fast forward to the book of Esther. There's been generations of Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel and all this different stuff in the story. And it's like they are still fighting the one devil, the one demon, the one thought, the one curse that if our ancestor would have taken care of, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. And it's like, listening to you, there's that one thing that if we don't crucify that one thing, and not to say that it's gone, right? Would you agree?
Right. Yeah.
It's still around the corner creeping. It only takes, one time at a dinner table with somebody, or it takes one time of weakness when we're at that top place that we talked about a while ago, that if we don't keep that crucified, it's, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Going into that topic I got a King Corso. This dude outweighs me. It's huge.
Is that a dog?
Yeah, he's like a Shetland pony in the house. It's incredible. So, where I've really started to work on throughout this journey is with my mouth. Trying so hard not to cuss. Mm-hmm. I could put Johnny Depp to shame.
Yeah.
You put me on a golf course.
Listen, you're preaching the choir.
It's a different story. No, but that is one of the main focal points that I've really worked on was my mouth. I can quit drinking beer. That ain't a problem. But cussing, let me tell you something. You miss a 5-foot putt, it's coming out. But I've stopped that. I've really worked on my mouth. And to me, that's the beginning to make the bigger picture.
Proven.
Going to that dog, the King Corso, so he jumps on me the other night. It's probably the first cuss word I've said, and I don't remember how long, to be honest with you. He jumps on me because he was excited.
How much he weigh?
When I first met the dog, he weighed about 180.
Holy cow.
And long story short, a year later, I did a restoration job or mitigation job for a realtor, and a year later she calls. I'm like, who is this? Asked me if I wanted Axel. I was like, the dog? They're like, yeah. You want Axel? Yeah, I want Axel. I'll take him. So I got Axel. Well, so the other day, he gets separation anxiety or whatever you want to call it. And he jumped up on me. And this dude is huge. Jumps up on me like this. I had my back to him, set my phone on the table in the kitchen. And so I tried to Conor McGregor him. It didn't work. Well, then when I turned around and faced him, he jumps up on me and has his legs up on my shoulders. And I mean, I drop kicked this sucker right in the chest with a knee that would have took out Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
And I thought, I watched Axel go by. And that was the first cuss word I said in a while. And I watched Axel kind of go by. And I thought, I just killed my dog. He falls over, like hits off the wall and then falls over.
Yeah.
And is out. I thought, oh no, I just killed Axel.
That's a big boy.
Oh, wait till you see the picture of him in the Suburban.
Holy mackerel.
He's a beast. And so Axel falls over by the fireplace.
So is he 100 pounds?
Oh yeah. He's kind of real skinny right now because
You said how much he weighed when you first got him?
He's about 180, 175 to 180. He's huge.
Holy cow.
And I don't know, probably right now he's probably around the 150 markish. But he lived a pretty hard life. I'm not going to get into all that because it was pretty rough. And he was pretty skinny when I got him. But now Lisa and I are trying to put weight on him so he eats whatever. He's a mammoth.
I know I alluded to it a while ago, but this translation, New American Standard, says, watch over your heart with all diligence, where New King James, I think, says guard your heart with all diligence. But this it. For from it flow the springs of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth, and put devious speech far from you. So that's how we guard our heart, is our mouth. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yep. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. I think we can talk ourselves into something. We can talk ourselves out of something. I always think of that text when Paul is up at the king before the king of Agrippa, and he said this, I think myself happy. Right?
I think that goes back in the part where you spoke on earlier about consistency.
Yep.
If you consistently.
Right. Absolutely. 100%.
If you consistently not cuss, then you ain't going to cuss.
That's right. Absolutely. But it's still hard when you play golf. And
or the other day on our Whatnot app, I was bidding on a Scotty Cameron putter, but I can't see myself paying that kind of money for a putter.
But you can buy Jordans, can't you?
Well, yes.
Man,
yes.
If you guys don't know about it, this is a special ad, the Whatnot app that Ty got me onto, that me and Brandy in the middle of the night. She's looking at jewelry,
stupid.
And I'm looking at
Louis bags or something. It's like
incredible. I mean, some of it's high.
Yeah, some of it's just stupid.
Just goes stupid high, but you're bidding on there. But I don't even know how we got off on that. But anyways, consistency. It says, so out of it flows the springs of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth. This is how we guard our heart. And put devious speech far from you. And then the next one, let your eyes look directly ahead, and let your gaze be fixed straight in front of you. Meaning this, straight in front of us. We're not getting distracted.
No
That's how we guard our heart. Our mouth, our eyes, and the last one is watch the path of your feet. All your ways will be established. Where you go. You hang out in the chicken coop, you're going to have some chicken scratch on you. Right?
Exactly.
And so, and that's how, I mean, in all of this, I mean, the rabbit trail we've been down today, if you was to look back and see, how did you get off the path? You were hanging out in the wrong place at the wrong time.
100%.
Yep. Your speech was off. Your eyes were looking the wrong direction. And so that's the thing is if you're going to live in victory, I'm looking at your hat now. If you're going to live in victory, there's practical things that we have to do every single day. Every day when we wake up. I want to ask you this. I always do this because I know what my life looks like, because I have to continually be in discipline. I have to continually be in a place where, tell myself no. And so what does your morning look like? Like there's things that I do in my life that I defeat the flesh. Now this morning I did not get in my cold plunge because my brother's here with us.
Cold plunge.
Yeah.
Like the ice bath?
Ice bath.
No, you ain't going to pay me to do that.
Yeah. So that's a discipline thing that I do, denying my flesh. And it makes me feel better. But it's like I have to talk myself into it. But I didn't do it this morning because it was 25 degrees. Because he unplugged it, and I have it on one of those, like a kegerator.
Oh, yeah.
Where you plug it into the kegerator, and then you plug it into the heat or the cool. Well, he plugged it into the heat. And so
you had a hot tub this morning?
No, it was cold, so it kept the refrigerator on. So we have it at 45 degrees, and so it kicks it on because it's plugged into heat rather than cool. So I didn't get in it this morning. But there's just things that I do every day that I deny my flesh. Even though it's Saturday, I still read my Bible. Even though it's Sunday, when I'm on vacation, there are things that I do. What are some things in your life that you do to keep you disciplined?
Mm-hmm. Talk to the Lord. And I talk to him just like you and me talk to.
I do too.
I don't get into some.
Son in a baktane. I know we went into that just a while ago.
Yeah. I don't, and I talk to him like we do, like not bro, but what's up, man, type of thing, or father. I don't get into, literally have a conversation like we're having.
Yeah.
With God. That's how I start my day off.
Yeah.
While I'm running to the bathroom.
Good morning, Lord.
Hey, good morning, Lord. Thank you.
This is the day the Lord has made. Right. I will rejoice.
But I think
when you go to the bathroom, you could say.
Sometimes I'm praying to God. Or my wife will turn in the King Corso while I'm on the throne and he sits on my lap.
Oh Lord.
Good times.
I've got a river of life flowing out of me.
I would sing, but I don't want
to
ruin the audience.
I hear you.
But no, that and I think staying, which we've talked about, was the consistency part of it. You are what you surround yourself with. Your circle matters.
You rise and fall to the level of your friends.
If I hang out in a bar, I'm probably going to be a drunk right along with them bars.
Yep.
If I go to church, surround yourself with that. Mm-hmm. What are you going to be?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like they say, if you're in a room with 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th. Mm-hmm. If you're in a room with 5 drug addicts, you're going to be a drug addict.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. You rise and fall to the level of your friends.
I truly believe in that.
Bad communication corrupts good morals. It wasn't just something that our parents tried to divert us from. I heard somebody say it years ago, and I still use it to this day. If you're hanging around people that look like they will be wearing an orange jumpsuit on the side of the road picking up trash, you might as well get fitted for yours.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's a thing. I think that's the balance of where like people have a hard time of, yes, I need to go into all the world and preach the gospel, but listen, us hanging, and you need to have those moments to where those topics come up, but it's a difference of you being and now an influencer. You need to now be the thermostat rather than the thermometer.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so I don't know. And that's where you got to discipline yourself.
You got to. And like everybody, I don't know how to really say it, but it's kind of like you said a while ago. You have to, as a preacher, everybody looks at you at a certain way. You have to be at a standard. Is that what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily a preacher. I think you got to do that, period. Whether you're a preacher or whether you're in the congregation or whatever you're doing, you need to be held to that standard.
That's right.
You're a Christian guy. Stand up for it. Mm-hmm. Be courageous. God confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Why wait? That's what I say a lot is why wait? It's like I waited 41 years. Why wait? It ain't worth the 41 years of rabbit trails that I've been down. It's like, man, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Like, and going back to that, it's like I know people look at me and it's like, well, yeah, he's a partier, he's a beer drinker, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, I was. Not now. I can change. You can change. Back to that scenario.
Absolutely.
You can change if you want to change. We've all got a calling. It's up to you to figure out what God's telling you. Whether He's got to drag you by your nose rings or whatever the case is.
Absolutely. He's pulled us out of the miry clay, and He's set us on the rock to stand. Thank God for that. Well, what? Let me ask you this: what would you tell your if you was to go back to your 20-year-old self? What's some things that you would say?
You're an idiot.
Would you? Would
Absolutely.
you be that mean to yourself?
I would be. I'm pretty brutal most of the time. Sometimes I sugarcoat it a little bit, but I would literally say that you're an idiot. What are you doing? Is that 3 or 4 hours dancing on a bar with a hula hoop worth it? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Was it fun at the time? Yes. The repercussions of it
Yeah.
and the end result of it? No.
The wages of sin
You're
is
an idiot.
death,
You're an idiot.
but the gift of God is eternal life.
I think we talked about it a while ago too. I'd rather be laughed at for serving God than having people, God, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes this thing goes crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said it a while ago. It takes guts.
It really does. It really does. You got to be courageous. You got to, once you consistently do it, as shoeing horses, it just flows out of you. But take that stand and get it. Just get it.
Absolutely. So, let me ask you this: was Lisa already where you're at, or did once you began to go, she followed?
Lisa really, she was on her voyage to being that, and she pushed me to.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it wasn't for her, who knows? But if I wouldn't have gone to that life surge that night, when I did not want to go, but God wanted me to go, so He's using Lisa to take me to that, so I could wake up.
You had a God moment.
Absolutely.
But I think if she was here, she would say this: it's a lot easier if you lead. And now she can follow.
Oh, yeah. We had that conversation this morning leaving the hotel. We're texting and driving.
Yeah.
Of basically that same conversation.
And I'm going to encourage all the men because in a relationship I always tell men that if you lead, she'll follow.
Absolutely.
But you got to be the leader. They're wanting you.
You got to be the man.
That's right. Be a man. You take the reins and go.
Yep. Kick
up. Because I mean that's the way God designed it, is for you to be the priest of that home. And that's the way God didn't design it, for the woman to be the priest, not the one that prays. Not to say she can't pray. And it's amazing, women are more intimate with the Lord than we are, but that's not the way I see it as God designed it. Not to say that they can't, but when we do it, I'm telling you, our family life looks so much better.
Everybody, and you're going to have trials.
That's
you're
right.
going to have, but if you're in charge and you're in charge of the family and you're leading your family, your sons, your daughters, your family members, they're going to follow you. You're more of a leader than you think you are. A lot of people are scared of that role.
Yep.
But you're more of a leader than you think you are. People look up to you more so.
Absolutely.
Whether you don't think so, it's true. I'm telling you, it's true.
Yep. Whether you're being it or not, they still see you as the leader. So when you become the leader, it's that much better. Yep. They're looking for someone to follow.
Yep, I agree.
100%.
The kids, they're, we're all kind of coming together in that sense of.
Now, who are these little kids that I see on
the twins?
Brandy shows me babies.
The babies.
Okay, whose are they?
My stepson, Buddy, Lisa's oldest son.
Okay.
Just had grandbabies, twins.
Oh, man.
And they were preemies, so they were little bitty suckers.
All right. How old are they now?
5 months, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
They're funny. Like, they're cute. Like, We were talking
Is
yesterday.
it two
This
boys?
No, 2 girls.
2 girls.
And so we were talking yesterday. This is the first time that we haven't got to see them on a daily. So we were kind of
Oh, you see them all the time.
every day,
Oh, wow.
almost every day. I shouldn't say every day, but almost every day.
How awesome is that?
But I always laugh because while AJ was carrying them, there was one of them was always kicking the other, so I call them little UFC fighters
Yeah,
or something. They're cute. They're adorable.
absolutely.
They're cute. But yeah, Buddy's two babies there, and he's a GC contractor there in the Springs. He's got a very successful business going for him, and so it's pretty cool to see them grow and doing that. And so,
Awesome. Is he working with you?
no, he's got his own company.
He's got his own deal.
Yep,
All
he's
right.
got his own GC company. Lisa's other stepdaughter, Kaylee. I call her Frank. She's got a
Is that the
cleaning.
blonde?
Yeah, one of them. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
She's got a cleaning company there in town, and so she's doing really good
She's busy.
with that. Oh golly,
Yeah.
that's physical work. Like, I'm not saying the construction industry ain't physical work, but to be a cleaner,
Yeah, but he's probably a pointer if he's a GC, right?
Yeah,
he's a
he-
bird dogger.
yeah, his stress level I would not like to have.
No,
Been down there.
absolutely not.
But anyways, but like, yeah, Kaylee's she's got a cleaning business, and Caden's 16, junior year in high school this year. She's like 6'3", 170. Kid's a monster, but he's
still in the home.
Yep, he's a good kid. Like, he's a good Christian kid. He's not like your normal teenage boy that's.
So you go to high school there in the
Mm-hmm.
Springs? Cool.
Yep. And then the little one, Blakers, is 11.
Wow.
And then I got a kid that's in college,
So it is.
football scholarship up in college, and then a freshman that's in
What college?
Chadron.
Chadron State,
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska.
Yep. He's on the football
He
team
playing
there.
football.
Yeah, he broke his arm.
I looked at going there.
Broke his arm, so they redshirted him, I think, till next year. And then the other one
Was he a game in or was it practice that
that
he
was in
broke his
practice.
arm? He broke his arm.
Mm-hmm.
But was he going to play and then they redshirted
I
him?
think so.
Oh, well, good.
He was.
Well, I hate that he broke his arm, but at least he has another year of eligibility to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good deal. That's cowboy country up in there, Chadron.
It's a long drive.
Is it a long drive for
I was
you?
judging a bull riding up in North Dakota not too long ago.
And you
We
stopped
just
in there?
kind of cruised through there and checked it out. And then Lisa loves bears, so they got a bear park in Rapid City.
Yeah.
So, of course, we stopped there for I can't remember if it's her birthday or anniversary. I said, "Do you want to go on a cruise, or would you rather go see the bears?" And
She said the Bears.
yeah, because I figured if I'm
Bears.
on a cruise ship, it's going to be either like the Titanic or it's going to be like the Love Boat. And I don't want to be on either one of them. Have you seen that movie?
Oh, you bet I have.
Oh, I got on the wrong ship. I told her, I said, I've never wanted to go to Hawaii, ever.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why, but I've never wanted to go to Hawaii, and I've never wanted to go on a cruise. Everything that you want right here in the United States, I do not want to leave the country.
Yeah.
Even though
Amen.
Hawaii is part of the
We
U.S.,
live in
I
the-
don't want to go
We
there.
live in the best place in the world.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
They have PBR events like in crazy places. Don't they?
Brazil, Canada, Australia.
Have you been to any of those?
Nope. Not yet.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
You're going to go to all of them. They
Hopefully
have
I
one
get
in
the
Europe,
call.
right? They have one
I
in
don't know.
Europe? I know they fight bulls in Spain.
Oh, yeah, they do. Funny, at a marketing group the other day, a guy's from Spain, and he was talking about it. He was funny.
Are you going to go to that?
No.
Dude,
I can do that in my backyard.
Yeah, that is wild.
No, I'm out. But, yeah, hopefully that's one day that'll happen.
Cool.
Depending on what God wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I believe doors of opportunity now because of this turnaround in your life.
I agree.
Amazing things are going to happen. So,
100%.
what's one last thing you want to let everybody know?
One last thing I'd like everybody to know. Why wait?
Why wait?
Why wait? Get saved.
Yeah.
Start your walk with God, no matter how big,
Start
how
serving
small,
the Lord.
no matter where you're at in life. Why wait? Do it.
Amen.
There's no reason to wait. There's no reason to question it.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Remember I told you this on the phone the other day? Next best time is today.
Today.
Why wait? Put seed in the ground. Give it to
Start.
God.
Just start. Just try it.
Absolutely.
What do you got to lose?
Absolutely. Give it a shot. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you.
I got another one for you real quick before we end it.
Yeah.
What if everybody started setting up, like, instead of Halloween decorations, what if everybody set up God-like decorations? Could you imagine?
Like Christmas?
Well, yeah. Not really like that.
Like
I don't
a
know where I was
nativity
going with that idea,
set?
but I drive around and I see all this. And I'll never forget, it was at here one Sunday, and you were talking about how, and I used to love Halloween. Like, I loved it. And you talked about how it's serving the devil, how it's the devil's holiday. I will not have anything in the world to do with it, blah, 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 blah.
I didn't say it like that.
Well, it was.
That's
I've
the way
been hitting
you
the
took
head
it.
a few times. I've been hitting the head a few times. And
Well-
so, but I drive around and I see all these crappy Halloween stuff everywhere. And I'm thinking, I hate looking at this. I hate it. I will not celebrate Halloween. Going to my mentor, I will not celebrate it. We will not decorate for it. We will not have anything to do with it. What can we do instead of passing out candies? Can we give like Bibles? Can we give
Yeah.
keychains with scriptures on it? Can we do something to promote
When they
God?
come to my door, I have
Rainbow
oil.
flag?
No. And I just pour it on them. I get a cross out.
Pennzoil?
No.
But no, I mean, like,
You know-
what if we did that instead of the
backing
crap.
up, talking about that, people see my stance. I was not raised in a home of Halloween. I mean,
Right.
I grew up in a very Pentecostal,
Pentecostal?
very
I never knew
relationship
that about
home. Yeah, and so here's the deal. You know, in 2 Timothy 1:7, God has not given us a spirit of fear.
Right.
Who gives us a spirit of fear? Yeah. So I'm not going to do anything, even down to, I mean, last night we had this conversation. People probably think I'm crazy, that I'm over the
You
top.
are crazy.
But I just know this. If I open the door just a little bit to the enemy, he comes barreling
The
in.
floodgates open.
So Anson's wanting to go to watch a movie. They're wanting to go see the new Beetlejuice. And so I sat down with him. I watched the trailer. And I said, son, I know this is corny, but this is opening a door for you to let others to come in. And this is all it takes. He goes, well, I mean, there's this part where his guts came out. And I went down this trail with him. I said, God has not given you a spirit of fear. So who does? The enemy does. And so when we toy with that, we are saying, enemy, I'm letting you in.
Yep.
And people think that I'm nuts and I'm over the top about it, and that's fine. You know, just like
No, I
even
don't-
Halloween night I mean, I'm out in front of my house. I don't give because there's people out there. I'm not going to be, you know, when I was a kid, we shut all the blinds and like acted like nobody was there. But because I want the opportunity. I love people, and I'm still going to be out there. And people give me, oh, it's a religious spirit. Listen, it's my conviction of I am not opening that door.
Not giving you candy.
No, it's
Bro.
not like that. This year we have Croc Charms. I'm going to be giving out some Croc Charms that say AOL
Croc
on 'em.
Charms?
Yeah, you have a pair of Crocs?
No.
Well, I don't either, but
I figured you would rock the Crocs.
no, I don't rock them, but they have these charms that you can put in, and they have AOL. And in the past we've had
That's all the kids wear nowadays is Crocs.
yeah, we have these little Jesuses, different things like that. And so
That's a great idea to give away for.
yeah. And so it's an opportunity for me to. It's just like we were at Pack-A-Sack just 2 days ago, and the lady behind the counter goes to my son Catch, he's going to be 8 years old Sunday. She goes, "What are you going to say at the end of the month?" He goes, "I don't know." And she goes, "On Halloween night, what are you going to say?" And he goes, "I don't know." And she said, "Trick or treat." He goes, "I don't say that." I mean, because he doesn't know any better. She was trying
Yep.
to give him some candy, but, you know, we don't play trickery in the Bennett household. We don't mess with those types of things, and you know that's where I'm at my place, and it's not religion. It's none of that. I'm just not opening that
No,
door.
don't open up that flood door.
I'm
'Cause
not
it
gonna.
will consume you. It will take you away
Yep.
to a level that.
Absolutely. So I think, you know, we can just pray And let our, the Bible says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And I don't want to be one of those crazy people and they're coming to the art. Get thee behind me, Satan. I'm not going to be like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, Pennzoil. Come on.
Mm-hmm. No,
I hate you.
100%.
But that's what God's called us to be, the light of the world, salt of the earth. And that's what I'm going to be. That's what God called us to be. So, anyway. Praise the Lord. Hey, it was good to have you on, man.
It's great.
Yeah.
Good to be back in Texas.
Amen. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for, isn't it amazing, going back to this, that love, the Bible tells us that he gives us the desires of our heart. And I think a lot of people think, if I start serving God, this desire that I love, I think about Cody, like he loves rocks, and even what he's doing now, he's very creative. What God did is he amplified that even bigger.
Yep.
It's a better testimony. So that what was in your hand of what you loved is bride and bulls. It's a passion that you have. And now God mixed with that. It's the God of multiplication. That's right. What's in your hand? David had the sling in his hand. Moses had the rod in his hand. I mean, I look like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All of those were put there right in the hand of Nebuchadnezzar to open his eyes. And so, whatever's in your hand, God will use that. God will use that and multiply it. Stick with it.
Yep.
Don't wait.
Why wait?
Awesome. All right, bro.
You good?
Good.
Done? With the Bennett Breakdown.
It's the Ben. There you go. All right. Perfect.
Peace out.